Okay, so let's see question 7d. 7d. Okay, so we have y equal to x squared minus 10x plus 16. So what we need to do is we need to, in the first part, we need to find the axis intercept. So we have x intercept and y intercept to find out. So to find the, let's say to find the x intercept. So to find the x intercept, so we have to let y equal to 0. So we let y equal to 0, then we get this. So as you can see, I replace the y with 0, and then I get this, and now I factorize it. So x, you may use calculator to get the factors also. So we have to think of two numbers that multiply and get 16, and at the same time when you add up you get negative 10. So I think of negative 8 times negative 2, where when I multiply this and this I get positive 16. When I add up these two I get negative 10. Okay, so I will use negative 8 and negative 2. Then from here I let the first bracket equal to 0, and then I get 8. So this is the x-intercept. And then I let x minus 2 equal to 0, then I get x equal to 2, and these are the x-intercepts. We have two values. Okay, then this is part 1. So now we need to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, basically what we do is we let x equal to 0. Okay, we let x equal to 0. So imagine we substitute 0 over here and here. Then we have to count the y. Okay, so we get something like this. Y equal to 0 squared then 0 plus 16. So we get y equal to 16. This is the y-intercept. Okay, so this is part 1. Now part 2, axis of symmetry. So that is a formula which is x equal to minus b over 2a. So we can just stick to this formula where, okay, let's take a look first. We look at the equation here, the function here. So a is 1, b is minus 10, c is 16. So we write it down. A is 1, B is minus 10, C is 16, and we substitute into that formula, minus B over 2A, then we get 5, and this is the x-intercept. Sorry, this is the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. Okay, now the next one, part 3, we have the turning point. Okay, the turning point. So of course, to find the turning point we have to do completing the square. Okay, so I put it here, part 3. So y equal to x squared minus 10x plus 16. So we have to do completing the square. We have to make sure in front of x squared that it is 1. So if it's 1, then of course we can start the completing the square without necessary to factorize. If there is any number in front, then you have to factorize it. Okay, so now the completing the square will be like this. I write back the x squared, I write back the minus 10x, then I write back minus 10 over 2 square. So that means you have to put b over 2 square minus with b over 2 square before you write back the last term. Okay, so our b is minus 10 here. As you can see, this is minus 10. So minus 10 over 2 square, and then again minus 10 over 2 square plus 16. Then after that, for the first three terms, we have to factorize it. We have to factorize it. So let's say before you factorize, let's say I just simplify it in this way first. X squared minus 10x plus, okay, so I'm going to count this. Minus 10 over 2 minus 5. Minus 5, you square it, become 25. So this is going to be 25. And this is 25 plus 16. Okay, so again, for the first three terms here, which is going to be a perfect square, so I'm going to factorize it to two same factors. Okay, so I continue here. Y equal to, okay, so to factorize this, we have to use calculator, or in other words, you just think of two numbers that multiply and get 25, two numbers that add up and get minus 10. Okay, so which is going to be minus 5 times minus 5. As I know, when I multiply these two, I get positive 25. When I add up these two, I get negative 10. So that's why I have to use this. And because of that, my factors, which is the same factors basically, so the factors is going to be x minus 5 square, two same factors. And now for the last two term, minus 25 plus 16, we will get negative 9. Negative 9. And so we have done completing the square. We have to get the turning point from here. So we let the bracket equal to 0. That means this one, the x minus 5. We let x minus 5 equal to 0. We get x equal to 5. Then for this, we let y equal to minus 9. Okay, so these are the turning point, 5 and minus 9. Turning point. So we get a turning point. Now we can sketch the graph. Okay, so let's see the information that we have. Okay, we have this one. This is the turning point. We have to know also this turning point is actually a minimum point. It's a minimum point because as you can see in front of the bracket there is nothing here. That means it is positive. Positive means it is a happy face like this, and then there's a minimum point here. So in other words, that means this is a minimum point. Okay, so the other information that we need to use is axis of symmetry, and then we have to look at the Y-intercept, the X intercept. So all the information I circle up with the green color, and now let's apply it in our graph. Okay, so this is our graph, the x-axis, the y-axis. Okay, so first I'm going to put the minimum point. Okay, so minimum point. So the minimum point is 5 minus 9. 5 minus 9. Okay, so which is around here. 5 minus 9. It's a minimum point. So the graph is going to be like this. And then we have the x-intercept, which are 2 and 8. So 2 and 8. So that means you should expect the graph to intersect here and there. Here and here, 2 and 8. Yeah? Okay, so I have to make my graph turn in a particular way. So I have to make it turn in this way. Okay, so that they cut at 2 and 8. Okay, so as you can see, the x-intercept 2 and 8, which same with these two. And then the y-intercept is 16. You have to label it here. 16. the axis of symmetry, you do like this. You draw a vertical dotted line passing through the turning point, then you label this vertical line as x equal to 5, and that is axis of symmetry. Okay, so that's how we do it for question D. Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just saying, I need to do more questions like this because this is one of the questions that I couldn't really understand.
Oh, okay.
Because like I understand how you get like some of it, but like when it's not this simple, it's word equation. I don't know where to start. So I need to start practicing word equations with like situations like this.
Oh, okay. You mean words equation with involving this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think after question 7, there are words questions. So it's either you want to skip E, F, G, H, or you want to finish E, F, G, H first before we continue with the words questions. It's up to you.
It's okay. We'll just do this first.
Okay, yeah, sure. Then I continue with E first. Okay, E. So we have y equal to 2x squared plus x minus 15. Okay, so again we have to find the x-intercept. So x-intercept. So we have to let y equal to 0. So you see I'm using the same method as just now. Let y equal to 0. Okay, then we do it in this way. So 0, 2x squared plus x minus 15. Then we factorize. Okay, so we factorize. So when you factorize, we can use, let's say we use this method. I use 2x times x, 2x squared. Then I have to think of two numbers that multiply to get negative 15. And let's say I use 3 and minus 5. So I need to make sure when I cross multiply in this way, and I add up the two products over here, I have to get positive x. Okay, so I do get that positive x. Okay, so if I get positive x, that means the factorization works in this way. So that means 2x minus 5 is the first factor, and then x plus 3 is the second factor. Okay, so we get 2x minus 5, x plus 3 equal to 0. So we find out the x-intercept then. We let each bracket equal to 0. So x equal to 5 over 2, x equal to minus 3. So these are the x-intercepts. So we have two x-intercepts. Okay, now y-intercepts. So y-intercepts, as you can see what we did just now, y-intercept we let x equal to 0. Okay, so we can do the same here. Y-intercept, we let x equal to 0, and we substitute 0 over here, substitute 0 back to these functions, substitute 0 here and here, then I just write down the working. 2 0 squared plus 0 minus 15, so I get y-intercept as minus 15. This is the y-intercept. Okay, so I get the y-intercept. Now part 2. So part 2 is about the axis of symmetry. So we use the same formula, x equal to minus b over 2a. So let's write down the values of a, b, c first. So as you can see, a is 2, b is 1, c is negative 15. Okay, so a is 2, then positive 1, and then c is negative 15. Okay, the x-intercept minus b over 2a, negative 1 over 4. Okay, so this is the axis of symmetry. Part 3, the turning point, part 3. So we have to do completing the square. So y equal to 2x squared plus x minus 15. Okay, so for this time we need to factorize 2. There is a number in front of the x squared, so we need to factorize it. Okay, so we factorize 2. So what happened then is we get y equal to 2. Okay, factorize 2, that means imagine 2x squared divided by 2, you get x squared. And then this is x. So imagine x divided by 2, you get 1 over 2x. Okay, so 1 over 2x. For the third term, it is up to you. You can factorize 2, or if you don't want to factorize 2, it's just fine. So let's say I factorize 2 as well, like this. Okay, so I factorize 2. Now, what happened then is I can start adding the 2 term, which is b over 2 square and minus b over 2 square. Okay, so the first 2 term we write back, x squared plus half x, we write back. The third term is b over 2. You know, your b is this one. This is your b. Your b is 1 over 2. So 1 over 2 divided by 2 is basically 1 over 4. Okay, so we put here 1 over 4 square, 1 over 4 square, and minus 15 over 2. Okay, so you get something like this. And let's simplify it first. X squared plus half x plus 1 over 16 minus 1 over 16 minus 15 over 2. Okay, so we need to factorize the first 3 terms. So when you factorize it, you have to think of 2 numbers where when they multiply, you get 1 over 16. When you add up, you get 1 over 2. So that means when you add up 1 over 4 and 1 over 4, you get 1 over 2. Okay, so that's why you have to choose 1 over 4. Okay? Because when you multiply, you get 1 over 16. When you add them up, you get 1 over 2. Okay, so I write down the working here. So the factorization is a perfect square. We always get to factorize into 2 same factors. X plus 1 over 4 square. And for the last 2 terms, which is this and this, so what we need to do is we just need to check with calculator. Okay, so negative 1 over 16. Okay, check with calculator. Negative 1 over 16. Negative 1 over 16 minus with 15 over 2. Okay, so I get, okay, so let's say I do manually here. Negative 1 over 16 minus with 16 over 15. 15 times 8. 120. Okay, so I get negative 121 over 16. Okay, then after that I times 2 with these 2, so I get 2 x plus 1 over 4 square minus 121 over 8. Okay, so we have done completing the square until here, And what to do is we need to write down the turning point. So the turning point, we let the bracket equal to 0. We get x equal to minus 1 over 4. Then after that, we let everything at the back of the bracket as y. So y is minus 121 over a. And this is the turning point, minus 1 over 4, minus 121 over 8. Okay, so once we get the turning point, so what we can do is, we have to know that this is maximum or minimum by looking at the number in front. Either you look at this, where the number in front is 2, is a positive value, or you can also look at this, the one after we finish completing the square. So you can see here as 2. So whenever it is a positive value, that means we have a minimum point. Our graph is a happy face graph. We have a minimum point over there. Okay, so, and because of that, this is a minimum point. So what we need to do now is we sketch the graph. Okay, so again, we look at the minimum point. We look at the axis of symmetry. We look at the Y-intercept, the X intercept. So the information that we need to use, I circle in green color already. So let's start with the minimum point. Two of these are negative. Okay, so you should expect it to go to the left and go down. Okay, so that is going to be somewhere here. So I label the coordinate negative 1 over 4, negative 121 over 8. Then our graph is a minimum point parabola. Okay, so which is like this. And you have to make sure the x-intercept that we found match with the graph here. So the first value 5 over 2, the second value minus 3. So 5 over 2 should be here, minus 3 should be here. And after that, the y-intercept is negative 15. So we can just put it here, negative 15, the y-intercept. Okay, this is negative 15. And yes, we have done this one. Okay, now we continue with f then. 6x squared minus 13x minus 5. Okay, so this is question F. So now what to do is the x-intercept. X-intercept. So we let y equal to 0. 0 equal to 6x squared minus 13x minus 5. So we have to factorize this. So let's say I use this method. I use 3x times 2x becomes 6x squared. Okay, then I have to think of two numbers that multiply to get negative 5. Okay, two numbers that multiply to get negative 5. So there are 5 and negative 1. 5 and negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to put in this particular way. So when I cross multiply, of course when I times I get negative 5, so that's why I write it down here. When I take this times this, I get negative 5. And when I cross the product, when you add them up, make sure you get negative 13. Okay, so actually we get, so as you can see here, 2x times 1, we get 2x. And after that, 3x times minus 5, we get negative 15x. So negative 15x. And you add them up. 2x minus 15x, you get negative 13x. So
also, could you just screenshot this?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, I screenshot after I finish this question, and then
Yeah, just screenshot all of it because you've written quite fast.
oh okay, yeah, sure. I screenshot 3 of this question after that. Okay, then okay. So when you get negative 13x, that means we managed to factorize. So it is 3x plus 1 and 2x minus 5. Okay, so 3x plus 1, 2x minus 5 equal to 0. Then we do 3x plus 1 equal to 0, 2x minus 5 equal to 0, and then we get 3x equal to minus 1, 2x equal to 5. So x equal to minus 1 over 3, x equal to 5 over 2. And these are the x intercepts. Okay, then we find the y-intercept. Y-intercept. So we have to let x equal to 0. So we substitute into the function given at the beginning, which is this function. Substitute 0 here and here. So we get 6 0 square minus 13 0 minus 5. So we get y equal to minus 15. This is the y-intercept. Okay, so y-intercept, and now this is what we call the first part. Second part is the axis of symmetry, x equal to minus b over 2a. So we know from the function here, we know here a is 6, b is minus 13, c is minus 5. So we just write it down. A is 6, b is minus 13, c is minus 5. Okay, so we have A, B, and C. Now what to do is we just substitute into the formula, minus B over 2A, and then we get 13 over 12. So x equal to 13 over 12 is what we call the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. And now we look at part 3. Part 3, the turning point. So we have to do completing the square in this case. 13x minus 5. Okay. Now again, we have to make sure there is no number in front of the x squared. So we have 6 here. So we have to factorize the 6. So when you factorize 6, that means you have to divide each term by 6. For the first term, 6x squared divided by 6, we get x squared. For the second term, 13x divided by 6, we get 13 over 6. For the third term, we take 5 divided by 6. Okay. Now we can insert the b over 2. So you have to know that your b is this one. This is your b. This is the b. B is negative 13 over 6. We have to do b over 2 square basically. So x squared minus 13 over 6x plus b over 2. Negative 13 over 12 square minus negative 13 over 12 square. Then the third term, minus 5 over 6. Okay, so we insert 2 terms already, which is minus 13 over 12. Okay, so now what we need to do is we have to simplify it first. 13 over 6x, 169 over 144, 169 over 144, 5 over 6. Okay, so for the first three terms, we need to factorize it. Okay, so again, when you factorize, you have to think of two numbers that multiply to get this 169 over 144, and I'm going to take minus 13 over 12 times minus 13 over 12, and when you add them up, make sure you get minus 13 over 6. So that's why I choose this. Okay, I choose these two. When I multiply, I get this. When I add these two up, I will get this. So how come I can think of it so fast? Because it's basically here. So the two numbers that you need to multiply to get this, and the two numbers that you need to add up to get this, is always in the third bracket. In the third bracket, I mean in the third term. You see 1, 2, 3, this is the third term, and it's inside the bracket. So that is b over 2 basically. Okay, now let's write it down.
Okay.
Yeah, so I continue here. Y equal to 6, x minus 13 over 12 square. Okay, so I managed to factorize the first three terms. So for the last two terms, for this term and this term, so we need to use calculator to count this. Okay, now let's say I count it here. Minus 169 minus over 144 minus, okay, so the 5 over 6, I need to change them to the same denominator. Okay, so what to do is I need to times 24 up and down, so I get 120 over 144. Okay, so then after that I get minus 289 over 144. Okay, then after that I need to multiply 6 with this and that, then I get y equal to 6, x minus 13 over 12 square minus 289 over 24. Okay, so once you get these, that means you have done completing the square, and we have to get the turning point from here. We let the bracket equal to 0. X minus 13 over 12 equal to 0. X is 13 over 12. Then we let y equal to minus 289 over 24. So this is the turning point. And of course, this is a minimum point. The reason is because the number in front is a positive number. It's 6, it's a positive number. Then the graph is a smiling face graph. Okay, so with a minimum point here. So this point is hence a minimum point. Okay, so now what to do next is we have to sketch the graph. Okay, so when I look at this value, I know that this is going to be positive value to the right, positive value going up. So it's somewhere here. Oops, sorry, the y is a negative value. It's a negative value.
Okay.
As you can see here, negative. So it's a negative value. Okay, so the position should be okay, somewhere below, should be here then. 13 over 12 minus 289 over 24. Okay, now this is the minimum point. We considered it already. Okay, now we look at the y-intercept. Y equal to minus 5. The x-intercept minus 1 over 3 and 5 over 2. Okay, so we put it in the graph. Minus 1 over 3, so you should expect it to come to the negative value, and then 5 over 2, you should expect it to go here. Okay, now let's extend the graph. Okay, this is going to be minus 5 over 2, and this is going to be, this is minus 1 over 3, this is 5 over 2, and this value is the y-intercept, which is minus 5. And finally, we also have the axis of symmetry, x equal to 13 over 12. So we label it as a vertical dotted line, x equal to 13 over 12. So like this. Okay. Even for the question just now, this one we can, I just realized I haven't put the axis of symmetry. Okay, so which is x equal to minus 1 over 4. Okay, so 3 questions altogether.